What's up, everybody? And today we are checking out a new channel, but a video on a weapon that I am very passionate about learning more on. This is Royal Armoury's video called Exclusive Hands-On with the new British Army AR-15, the KS-1, otherwise known as L403A1, with Jonathan Ferguson. I've never watched any of this channel before. I don't know this guy. I've never watched any of his videos before. So this is going to be super interesting. He says AR-15, but really and truthfully, we should be talking about the SR-16 because that's pretty much what it is. I honestly, from what I've seen with this video with my fellow Royal Marines getting this, I'm super impressed and super happy with it. And I think if I ever move back to the US, I'll probably get myself one of these or something similar. So yeah, if you want to watch the video without me waffling over the topic, we're down in the description below. Obviously, we're watching this from the perspective of someone who was in the Royal Marines Commandos, looking at this weapon as an upgrade from the SA-80, which is what I was trained on, as well as some other weapons as well, like the marksman rifle and all that lot. This is going to be a very, very interesting video, as it looks like it's a bit more of an intricate breakdown than the videos we've already seen. And so I am very excited to watch this video. Let's pull it up. Let's see what he's got to say. And let's look at this absolute beauty. I'm talking about the weapon, not the guy.
Hello, guys. Jonathan here with a bit of an exciting semi-scoop for you here. In front of me here is, yes, just another AR-15. But it is, in fact, the Knights Armament KS-1, the very trials rifle that resulted in the L403A1.
It's such a good-looking rifle, isn't it? I go on about it all the time, but that matte brown is like light brown is just on the matte like tan color, whatever you want to call it, is nice, isn't it? It's very nice.
Alternative individual weapon being adopted last year to supplement the SA-80. It is not a replacement for it.
Oh, I thought it was just replacing it. I guess, yeah, it probably is a supplement. I know that the Royal Marines are getting this, so maybe it's just certain units that are getting it.
Different project that one day, hopefully, I'll be talking about.
Yeah.
So, why? Well, the British military has a long history with the Armalite, as it has long called it. In fact, the solicitation that led to this used the word Armalite, but then was very, very loose and said it didn't mind whether it had a external gas piston or not, or the direct impingement system. So yeah, an interesting quirk of British English that we still use Armalite in that sense. The name of the original company where the AR-15 was designed, of course. So the idea
interesting,
here
a little bit of cheeky history there. This guy seems to know his stuff. I've been recommending his videos a lot, so he must be an absolute expert in this.
It's a continuation of the same idea. Special operations forces, specialist troops who, for whatever reason, need or maybe want something that isn't an SA-80, got, well, initially an AR-15, Model 01, Model 02, Model 04. Then they got M16A1s, M16A2 variants, carbines, the DeMarco series, especially SAS, SBS. So there's always special forces and then specialist troops or troops going to special areas like the jungle. So there have always been a few thousand AR-15s knocking around.
Yeah, I mean, was that weapon that I always forget what it's called, L29, L129, I always forget, L129, this considered an AR, LMT, my presumption, it looks like it, this is what I got trained on after I left. Sorry, after I got to a unit. When I went to 4-5 Commando, I got trained on this bad boy. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, 7.62, bit of a bigger round. And so this was the specialized weapon that me and the lads were going to get trained on, or got trained on when we were going to go out to Afghan. Obviously, for anyone who doesn't know my story, I didn't get sent out to Afghan. I got replaced with a reservist. Unfortunately, I was pinged for that. And then I went and did anti-piracy instead, which really sucks after doing 6 whole months of pre-deployment training. But I'm not going to get into that unless you want to know about it in another video. So yeah, this is a specialized rifle that I was personally trained on when I got to 4-5 Commando. Not everyone was trained on it. Not everyone. It was only certain people that got trained on it, which was really, really cool. And I felt very blessed in a way to be able to do that. So my presumption is this is probably working in the same way where select people are going to get given this, or maybe all of the Royal Marines are going to get given this.
In the British Armed Forces. This solidifies that yet further with a very modern, very high quality AR-15 for a specific group of units. So this was Project Hunter, was its code name.
That's cool.
And it was under the Defence Equipment and Support Dismounted Close Combat Team. They were looking into a suitable auxiliary or substitute standard rifle, whatever you want to call it, for troops that needed it. Now, specifically, this was for the new Army Special Operations Brigade, who are loosely equivalent to the US Army Rangers. In fact, the main component of it is the British Ranger Regiment. There's a whole story there. You can go away and look up if you'd like to. But essentially, they're creating a certain tier of Special Operations Forces to provide local training and support to foreign forces. So a role that the SAS traditionally fulfilled. But
that's really interesting. I didn't know anything about that.
This would be their primary role, and they would sort of fill a gap, as it were, between conventional forces and Tier 1. And for interoperability reasons, and also being sort of SF adjacent, it made sense to adopt a conventional layout that all sorts of forces use, including an awful lot of special operations forces, i.e. another AR-15. They wanted a modern setup, so they went for
a nice rifle,
low power variable optic, which this is. So we have a 1 to 10 power, crank it all the way over to the left for 1 power, so that works a bit like a sort of close quarter sight, albeit with a reduced field of view because you've got to look through the tube.
Yep. And
you can crank that up to any point between that and 10 power. So 1 to 10 power optics. So
it's a big optic in it, isn't it? Like, it looks like a relatively small weapon in general, but that optic looks massive on it. I mean, whatever, it's got a red dot on top. But the rifle in general looks like a really small rifle, and I think it all comes down to the barrel, and the guard across the barrel looks very thin, doesn't it? And you look about the new SIG that the US is getting, it looks almost like beefy, doesn't it, in a way? Obviously, that doesn't correlate to the weight of either both rifles, and we'd have to do a comparison video for that. But I think that the scope just looks big for the rifle itself, doesn't it?
From your own designated marksman, if you want to be down to CQB, kicking indoors, that kind of thing. Although, for that true role, you want this red dot on the top. This is an Aimpoint Acro red dot mounted on a Reptilia mount.
Reptilia mount?
So the optic itself, I think, has still got an experimental name of Eleanor. I'm not sure what the actual designation of that will be when it's released, but it's a sort of incremental improvement on Vortex's, made by the famous company Vortex, an improvement, an iteration upon their series of low-power variable optics, which
I'm
I
wondering
know
when they're going to get given this in the military.
Quite fond of in some contexts.
Let me just go back a little bit there.
Quite fond of in some optics, which I know Special Operations Forces have become quite fond of in some contexts. Otherwise, well, significantly, we have a heavy barrel under this M-LOK handguard here.
So it is heavy then, that's very interesting.
Yeah, this is the URX-6 Knights handguard, very, very slim, with just Picatinny rail on the top and then M-LOK slots for any accessories that you want to put on there. So that'll be...
Ooh, got a sling. Oh, look at all this. Lights on it. Rail scales, interesting. That's very, very cool.
A light laser module, no doubt. There's an angled grip, comes with the full kit as well, I gather.
That's super
cool. That black barrel under that handguard is very heavy, so very, very stiff and accurate, but it's dimpled. It has these...
Nonetheless, the heavy barrel and optic contributes to the weapon weight with optic and suppressor. No magazine at 4.35 kilograms. Interesting.
Dished out surfaces give it quite a distinctive look, especially the black contrasting against the tan.
Yeah, that dimple look we saw in another interview with one of the guys who works or owns Knights Armament. I forgot what his name is. I did it in a previous video. He said that that's patented for Knight's armament, and I'm talking, if you can see in the barrel, inside there where the barrel is, the black part, it's like got them weird like circular dimples. That's what he was talking about.
And so that gives you a lightweight but heavy barrel, relatively heavy barrel. It's a 13.7-inch barrel, and that's to do with the barrel length stipulated, because when you put this suppressor on the end, that brings it just within the required overall length that was needed. The suppressor here is the Knight's QDC MCQ-PRT suppressor. Pretty confusing. Sorry, Knights. And that's normal, believe it or not. It is a quick detach, so quite a short thread to unscrew, and then it comes off, and we have the standard QDC Knights.
It does look better with the muzzle on it, doesn't it? With the suppressor on it. Sorry, it does look better with it on. I think it just overall looks better with the vibe of the weapon, doesn't it?
Flash hider underneath that, so you can run this without a suppressor. But this is a flow-through type suppressor with a shield on it, a flash shield, and the weapon is designed to be run with that on there. If you can get over that horrific screeching sound, and it ratchets into place and it's on there nice and snug. So there's a very good video from Trey Knight, the son of Reed Knight Jr., who runs...
I think that's the video he's talking about, the one that I watched on this channel. I just want to go back to the suppressor real quick, though, before he goes on with that. Makes me wonder, because it's just a screw-on, is that going to slowly get loose over time? Is that going to become more of a burden when you're in the field? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
KAC, Knight's Armament Corporation, Knight's Armament Company, sorry, explaining a lot of this, so please do go and check that out as well.
It's a good video.
He explains this is mainly about flash and thermal suppression. So this shroud here is actually to keep the thermal signature of the weapon down. This is a thermal shroud, because thermal detection on the battlefield is becoming more and more of an issue. So it's some sound suppression, but it's primarily there as a super duper flash hider and thermal mitigator.
Which is really cool in a way, isn't it?
Knight's proprietary gas block up here, which has its own advantages. We have ambidextrous controls, pretty much standard these days. So standard magazine catch on the right, but a bolt catch and hold open mirrored on the right as well. And the safety selector mirrored on the right, which means our standard AR style safety selector, obviously still there on the left, standard bolt and bolt release there, but then our mag release is mirrored on the left. So all controls can be operated.
That Knight's Armament logo on there as well looks sick, doesn't it? I know it's just like aesthetic, but it looks really good.
Either side of the weapon. The charging handle is the same as ever, but it has double latches, so that's ambidextrous as well.
Yeah.
Forward assist is still on there, controversially to some, and you don't get two of those, I'm afraid. We have this take on an Arctic trigger guard, which is bowed. Now you'll see a lot of modern ARs with a bowed trigger guard for gloves or whatever. This is for that, but it also, like the old school AR-15, if you press in the little detent there, rather than folding down against the pistol.
So in that previous video, he was talking about that and how they've had to modify and change it for the requirements of Arctic training. So this must be the modified version of it then?
Pistol grip, like the traditional AR Arctic trigger. A lot of people don't realise that's what that is, but it's supposed to fold down for Arctic use. This one is removable, so you press the little detent, you pop the whole thing off, and then you presumably immediately lose it. I'm only joking, I hope. But that gives you great access for gloved hands.
Yeah.
And it means you're not having to, like, this would be really encumbering to be folded against this, because it's curved, so you wouldn't want to do that. So they made it removable instead. Yeah.
Which makes
the
sense.
Civilian version that Trey previews has a permanently attached one because it's not needed for that user, I guess. Magpul CTR, buttstock, off the shelf.
I'm gonna have to check more of this guy's videos out. 1 second, we just go to his channel real quick. Does he do lots of breakdowns on these weapons? Does he? Oh, he's got some good ones, hasn't he? Oh, he's got an SA-80. I have to check out that one. That'd be super interesting to watch. Oh, he's got some good ones. All right, yeah, I gotta check out some more of this guy's channel. Definitely. This is very, very interesting. And it's interesting as well, because obviously a lot of the gun tubers that I do watch are in America. Obviously, this is interesting to come from a British perspective as well, which is very interesting.
Option, very good, with a lockout on it to make it nice and robust in whichever position it's in. Everyone knows about that, who knows about ARs these days. Magpul, MEADERY, I guess it's pronounced, storage pistol grip. I believe they're coming with Magpul current gen PMags as well. I think they're in the posters and the promo stuff for that. Check out the Armourer's Bench for a nice write-up on the introduction of this thing, by the way, for anything I might be missing. Right, so just
That's
quickly,
cool.
we do need to pop this open because there's one proprietary, patented Knights.
Has he got one of them classic, like, calculator watches on? Have you seen that?
Feature
Looks like
in
it.
here. Oh, incidentally, the hammer is pretty unusual on the KS-1 as well. Very thin, to me anyway, who's seen a lot of historic ARs, not too many modern ones. Very narrow and shiny, which is interesting. And we have the auto sear in there, of course, because this is a military weapon. So what I wanted to show you is
let's see the
it's a fairly
inside.
generic M16 type bolt carrier. Well made, of course, because Knights are one of the prestige companies like Daniel Defense.
I've heard that Knights Armament are quite the expensive AR manufacturer in the US. Like, people are saying it's always like, it's one of the highest standard ones. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that they have like lifetime warranty on the weapons and stuff like that, which is really impressive.
The bolt is interesting. So those lugs, the famous multiple lugs, designed by Stoner, based on Johnson's design, they are curved, they're radiused. And we actually have a 1902 shotgun in our collection, and they're shaped the same way. And my theory has been that the metallurgy of the Edwardian era, Victorian Edwardian era, was such that they had to make them round because they kept cracking, because the metallurgy wasn't very good. And then Knights have independently rediscovered that even with modern metal, a rounded profile is less prone to stress fracture, because you do tend to crack these bolts. Either to do with the design of the stem, which we won't get into, or at the lugs. So that's one feature to look for.
That's super interesting that he knows the history of the manufacturing of weapons. I'm really impressed with this guy's video so far.
A bit nerdy, but it is in there. But there's a lot of there's a lot that's still Stoner about this, and for good reason. Knight was a friend of Eugene Stoner, worked with him latterly, and the lower on this is still marked, in fact. Remove that. Still marked SR16 for Stoner Rifle 16.
Oh, so that's what it stands for, Stoner Rifle 16. Yeah, we've looked into videos and saying that it's practically the SR16. There's a few different modifications because it is military, like the finger guard and all that lot. Like, there are a few differences, but if you bought an SR16 in the US, you're practically buying the same weapon.
And there's the civilian commercial counterpart, the SR15. Stoner and Knight together designed the SR25 7.62 rifle as a designated marksman rifle. That was Stoner sort of coming back into the fold of his original gas system, as it were, and designing a new Stoner rifle. And this is the ultimate. This is really the ultimate Eugene Stoner AR-15 rifle.
It's really cool.
And it's now trickling into the hands of British soldiers. So as I say, the British Army Ranger Regiment and 2 elements of the Royal Marines, the strike
let's go, Royal Marines
companies, and the surveillance and reconnaissance squadron.
Oh, okay, so not everyone in the Royal Marines is getting it then. Very select few are getting it then.
Will also be equipped with this.
Okay.
There's also some rumours around SAS, SBS acquiring a variant of this rifle as well.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's the way UK Special Operations Forces. And
especially if this rifle is as successful as I think it's going to be. I think SF will get their hands on this very quickly.
Support units are going, and these are some of these are like-for-like replacements for DeMarco. Some of them are going to units that didn't previously have them, like the battalions that have formed the new Ranger Regiment. So you will start to see these over the next few years. The buy is 10,000 rifles over 10 years, so that you're not going to see any dramatic replacement of
That's not many, is it?
Other than when you're looking at one of these units. And
when I was first watching the videos, I thought it was like a legit, all the Royal Marines are getting this weapon, and the army will eventually change at some point. I thought all Royal Marines were changing to this, but obviously that's not the case. Interesting.
And suddenly you'll see these, and they're very recognisable, even compared to some of the other Armalite-based rifles already in service.
Cool.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. This series covers everything from, well, in theory, medieval handguns, we'll have to dig one out for you, all the way up to the very latest weapons in
I want to watch some of his OG videos on medieval weapons. That's what I want to watch.
military service. And that's what this is. This is a historic, a modern museum piece, as it were. And we're very grateful to the people that have provided this. Thank you very much.
So cool.
So, as always, we have a website, we have social media channels in all the usual places. Specifically, we'd love you to check out History of Weapons and War, which includes not only our content, but a load of content from other providers, some of whom you'll have...
History of Weapons and War? History of Weapons and War. Oh, is it just a... Oh, it's a streaming app. Announcing History of Weapons and War streaming app for firearm videos.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. It's continuously clamping down, or $100 for an annual subscription.
So we know him. We've watched one of his videos. Interesting. I'm very, very impressed with this guy's videos, and I'm definitely going to be following more. Please go over to his channel, give it a like and subscribe. Let's finish this video off real quick.
Come across, I'm sure. Well worth checking out if you like this kind of thing. And also, at our website, you can find a link to details on our membership program, where you can get more involved in what goes on here and help support us that way, which we'd also really appreciate. But whatever you do, please come back and join us again next week.
Really, really cool. Yeah, check out their website as well. Get out of here. Cookies. Really, really cool. Where is this place? Oh, it's in Leeds. Oh, that's not that far. Maybe I'll go take a visit. That's only like an hour drive from me. Not even that. I might go... Oh, they've got kids stuff and also... Oh, I'm defo going. Defo going here. My son will love this stuff. My son runs around with a frigging wooden sword. In fact, it's these ones in the background here. Oh, no, these ones here. There's a bow here and stuff. Like, my son runs around with this shit. Hit him. He literally hit Steph yesterday. Bruised all around. He's a little warrior, that kid. Anyways, great video. As always, I'll leave a link down below in the description if you want to watch it. We learned a little bit more here and there about this weapon. I actually learned more about the integration of this weapon into the Royal Marines, which is, in my opinion, very important as, you know, again, former Royal. It's also super interesting that we kind of have this two thing right now. We have the Royals getting the KS-1, and we've got the US Army now getting a new rifle as well with the SIG. So it's been really interesting to see the build-up of these new weapons getting integrated into both countries. As you know, as both a US and a UK citizen, that's really interesting for me personally as well. If I ever do move back to the US, which, you know, could be a thing in the future, I think I might get myself a SR16. I think that would be pretty damn cool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Other than that, that's it. If you want to see all my recording stuff, it's down in the description. If you want to get a hold of me, DM me on Instagram. And let me know in the comment section, what do you think about the KS-1? Are you surprised that we're not getting as many as we initially thought? Or maybe we did know that and I just didn't know that. Are you surprised that SF aren't getting this straight away as well, which is very interesting? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Other than that, until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.